Recording is on.
All right, welcome everyone to the Bitcoin Design Review call number 37 with the Mutiny Wallet team. We should also have a quick overview here. Who is actually part of the team? But I think, Paul, you're going to lead the call today, right? So
Yeah.
our design review is usually a way where a team or product introduces themselves, talks a bit about who they are, what they do, and then lays out their design process or something that they're working on, something to get feedback on, and then it's just open conversation. So I'll be quiet and just hand it over to Paul.
Sweet. Well, yeah, thank you everybody for doing this. Mutiny is it's a wallet. It's self-custodial. It also supports Fedimints. Our tagline is unstoppable. Something unstoppable social payments, unstoppable Bitcoin wallet. Um, oh, no sound. Can everybody else hear me?
I can hear you.
Yep.
Sometimes Jitsi does this try rejoining. Could be often it's just a Jitsi thing and you need to rejoin.
So yeah, that unstoppable aspect has become really important. The original idea was that we wanted to be able to ship a Lightning node to the web browser. So instead of running a Lightning node on a server somewhere and connecting it to it with a client application or somebody else's wallet, you're running your own node, but you're actually running it in the browser tab, which was really powerful in the sense of being unstoppable, because it also means that because it's on the web, we can't be censored by app stores. Since then, we started in like October. I just found the post. October 2022 was when we were doing the Bolt.fun hackathon. So during that hackathon, which is like 6 or 8 weeks or something like that, we built like the first like working proof of concept, got it up and running, and since then we've been a company. Is there? I'm pretty ADD. How do I not see see chat?
Sorry, yeah, just trying to help. You just press
Like
the close
whoosh.
chat button there in the center and then you won't see it.
Let's see. Um, so yeah, so we launched in I don't even know when we launched, but we've been up for a while. We just went public in the app stores a few months ago, so that was been pretty big for us. And then we just recently launched Fedimint support, which has been really popular, and I'll go into what that means. And we also just recently did this social redesign, which kind of the idea around it is trying to become more oriented around people, like you're trying to pay a person or you're trying to get money from a person rather than like invoices. I mean, something that we've learned, that this isn't hard, fast research, it's just anecdotal, but like copying and pasting is a hurdle that a lot of people don't get over. Like if a flow involves a copy and paste, it might just break it for a lot of people. So trying to be oriented around people rather than like the typical scanning an invoice or copying and pasting an invoice around. That's kind of been a big push for us. But so yeah, I'll show Mutiny as is, just to give some people some context. And let me share my screen. Are there any questions about just the origin? Oh yeah, the team is me, Ben Carman, and Tony Giorgio. I'm the front end guy, and let's see. So let's see. All right. So can everybody see this?
Yep.
All right. So you can actually, if you want to play around with Mutiny as we're talking, this is fake money, so you're not going to lose anything. So this is signet-app.mutinywallet.com. And just kind of a meta note, one of the things we did really early on, Lightning has like, these channel confirmations. And so that it has this on-chain aspect. And when you're testing out a Lightning wallet, and you're trying to open a channel, to do it even on testnet, you might be sitting there waiting for 10, 30 minutes for just for confirmations. So we made a test network called MutinyNet with 30-second block times, and that's a public project. Like we've got a faucet. Um, we just have a million different ways to pay and ask for money and stuff. But a lot of other projects have been using it. So Voltage just launched a thing where you can use MutinyNet. So you can spin up a Lightning node and connect it to MutinyNet. Recording is on, or I'll keep going. So when I'm testing out Mutiny, if I start a brand new wallet, and I'll show you that flow in a second, I just go in here and DM MutinyNet a request for, give me some sats. And there we go. So I just got some sats sent to me. So this is a really fun way to test that. And so you can do that as well. So if you go to signetapp.mutinywallet.com and set up, you just search for MutinyNet. And this is kind of this people-oriented idea. Request some sats, and MutinyNet will send them to you. So yeah, let's go through the onboarding flow. I think that makes sense. So I'm just going to delete this wallet. So obviously don't do this with real money, but this is MutinyNet money, so it's fine to burn. All right, this is the onboarding. I know, yeah, Christoph, you've been sharing some concepts of spicing this up a little bit. I think it's interesting. It's actually a little point of I don't know if contention, but there's like this pirate aspect, and like this has like a little bit of a pirate aesthetic, but also like a pixel art aesthetic. And there's always, how much do we lean into this pirate aspect versus, Mutiny? The name comes from the Halt and Catch Fire TV show. I don't think about piracy when I'm using Mutiny or when I'm developing Mutiny, but I know it's like the obvious immediate connotation of the name and some of the aesthetic. But yeah, I do think we can make this screen more exciting. So if you start a new wallet, oh wait, this is okay. So I have a Nostr signing extension, so it just threw me straight into this, and we're gonna get rid of this. So let's turn this off. Oh yeah, look at this. Let's see. Let me actually, you know what? I'll just do a new window. This is going to be more similar to what like a mobile user would go through. So you start a new wallet, and it's going to ask you to make a profile. So one thing we're doing, and I guess the theme of basically what I'd like the most help with, or the things that have been most difficult for me with Mutiny, and I would love any comments about any random stuff, buttons and drop shadows and all that kind of stuff, layout. But the thing that's hard with Mutiny is that it does a lot, and we try to make it easy to do those things. And sometimes making something easy to do means the user ends up doing more than they know they've done. So one of those cases is potentially with this Nostr thing. So you're creating a Nostr profile. It's not really a big deal. You're just generating a pub key, and then you're potentially like, publishing an image. I've got like my AI girlfriend here. So you create a profile, and then the next thing it's going to ask you to do is pick a federation. So I mentioned we have Fedimint support, and the reason that we're putting this in the setup flow is because it makes it cheaper, quicker, and easier to use Bitcoin. So if you don't do this, you're going to need to use Lightning. You're going to need to open channels, and especially recently, on-chain fees have been really high. And that's expensive. But also, you kind of need there's a minimum size to really even make it worthwhile to have a channel. Like 100,000 is kind of a bare minimum. And so, if someone wants to just get started using Lightning, that's kind of a big barrier to entry. And I'm not a great experience. So we wanted to make it really nice to start using with 5 sats or, 1,000 sats. And so the way to do that is to get into a federation. But this is another example of we're asking you to do something really early on that you might not, understand very well. So we have one for MutinyNet. If you're on mainnet, you'll see a different list, obviously. So I'll add this federation. And yeah, so this is the first thing you see when you're through the setup. If you didn't join a federation, we try to get you to join a federation in here. So to receive your first sats, it'll just take you straight to the receive. But like I said, I normally go to MutinyNet and request some sats. I'll get 20,000. Just getting started. So as you can see, this request screen is actually like, this is Nostr chat. These are actual Nostr DMs. And if you import your Nostr private key, you'll see the same DMs. And if somebody DM'd you an invoice, like I just DM'd MutinyNet an invoice, it'll show up as a payment request. Obviously I can send as well. And this goes through as a private Zap. I could also make it a public Zap or just a totally, non-Nostr associated payment. It's a little slow. Oh, looks like I spent twice. Well, that's worrisome. We got some stuff in testing, so we'll see what's going on with that. So yeah, so that's the basics. So also, if you follow people on Nostr, like let's see, let's find like Odell. So I'll follow Odell, and if I go to my friends list, I can see this is like public Zap activity that's going on. So if I go back to some of the motivation here, the I had screenshots somewhere for this. I don't know where my screen. I had screenshots. I basically stole from Signal and Venmo. Those are my primary inspirations for this more social redesign. But this is basically where it started as a wireframe in TL Draw, which is I think worked the best as far as our like making these decisions. There was also this really cool mock-up. I worked with Neil some in Madeira at the sovereign engineering cohort, and I just was coming to him with some design problems for the social redesign, and he went and like in like a week he had this amazing mock-up of this onboarding flow, which is it's really exciting, and a lot of this stuff is like possible technically. Like you basically in his idea you would start with the wallet like almost in like this chat UI, like Selena Gomez just sent you 21,000 sats, and it's like, oh okay, I want these sats. So like you start onboarding into the wallet just to like use those sats, and like you end up in this interface where you've already have these sats. You have like another friend, you're like friends with Mutiny support, which is an interesting idea. Like because we have chat, and Neil was one of the people who convinced me that chat was a good UI for a wallet. It was a little scary as like, are we just like adding way too much? But the idea of chat is that it's such a generic UI. You can express a lot of different things in it to make the decisions of what you actually like want to make possible. I don't know this. Yeah, this is pretty long, but he's got a lot of cool stuff. I want to steal some more of this aesthetic. Um, let's see. Yeah, how about we? I'm sure there's a lot. There are a lot more features I can go into. I'll show like the non-federation stuff in a second. But any questions about what I've shown so far? I'll,
Yeah, I was wondering a bit when I first tried the app with the federations. I was confused, so I think maybe it needs to be a bit more explained, right? Because I wasn't sure. Can I just join a federation without any issues, or is there a trust issue? Maybe do I need to go in a federation with friends, or does it even matter, right?
mhm.
This was one thing I was really thinking about.
So you're confused about like the long-term implications in some sense, or how to make the right choice, or yeah, can you just explain that a
Yeah,
little bit further?
yeah. I mean, I think I can I can trust the federation, right? Because I just checked then this little user avatars out and thought, okay, this guy's in there and this guy and whatever. But I was really thinking about, does it matter in which federation I go, or is it more like giving me the infrastructure and that's it, and it doesn't matter, or is it really like influencing maybe the social part, or right? So this, I felt that I needed a bit more information to choose a federation or get the idea of it even.
Yeah, and that I mean that is such a perfect example of this kind of thing. Like we want to make this really easy, right? Like you should
Hmm.
just there's just one button or maybe no buttons. You're just in a federation. But if we don't explain the connotations of what just happened, especially like more technical or more cypherpunk or more in some sense like having a little bit of knowledge makes some of these things even harder to use. um, just so people have the context. um, so this is mainnet. I'm not gonna do a lot on here, but yeah, so we just dropped this lightning address, just trying to like, so that this is our master branch. This is the public live wallet. So we're dropping this lightning address field just to give people fewer choices. But when you go to the federation list, um, we definitely want to do um, kind of a web of trust thing. So like right now, this is, these are people who have publicly, recommended uh, this Fedimint. Like, what does that mean? Like, basically, when you are in a Fedimint, you can, let's see, if you go to federations, I'm in this Fedimint. I could recommend this federation. That's what that means. One thought that we had to solve this, I'm curious what you think, is if you're invited, if like making invite links to join Mutiny also include like enough information to like add that person that invited you as a friend, so that you already have that out of the gate, and also like if they have a federation, like recommend that federation to you. That would be pretty high signal, because that's the hard thing with web of trust. It's like, okay, like I recognize that profile photo, I recognize that profile photo, but like what reason do I have to trust these people? Especially because if I'm making a new Nostr profile, this is all stuff that's published on Nostr. Same with this metadata. Um, this one, I believe, the problem, this federation, I believe, is Bitcoin Atlantis, and unfortunately, they don't have the Nostr metadata in there. So we're gonna fix that, so that's a little more obvious.
Okay,
Um,
so later you could maybe see which of your friends or which people you are following on Nostr are in which Fedimint. So that's the idea, right? So that you get more context.
Yeah, and that works if you already have a Nostr profile when you're starting, right?
Hmm.
So that doesn't quite solve it for the brand new, the person who's never used Nostr either. So we basically, it's up to us to have a good way of vetting the, we're using, I believe, like Primal's list of like quote unquote real people. These aren't just totally random in pubs. Um, but yeah, yeah,
Is that
so at
is that
least
your user?
what's that?
I was going to say, is that your user? There's somebody that's never used like Nostr or never used Bitcoin. Like, who are you targeting?
Well, that's definitely a hard problem we run into. Is that in some sense, a Mutiny is most known to and most appealing to knowledgeable Bitcoin users, uh, but we're kind of trying to bring fire down from the gods. Like we know all these cool, weird, uh, self-sovereign cypherpunk techniques, and we want to make them as easy to use as possible for a broader audience. I don't know if exactly where we want to land with that, but ideally, yes. One way we've thought about Mutiny is it's a wallet that somebody feels a Bitcoiner feels really comfortable using, and they like using it, and they also feel comfortable shilling their non-Bitcoin friends in. So it's like the Bitcoiner has the knowledge that this is doing things right, so therefore they can feel confident when they recommend to a friend that they're gonna end up in a good situation, but also that it won't throw so much choice and difficulty and bad UX or whatever at them, to be a barrier to usage.
I think that's great if you can get that right. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good luck to us. Yeah, I
Who's
wanted
the
to.
front end guy? He's got his. He's fucked.
What was that?
The front end guy has his work cut out. So
Oh yeah, pity that man. One other thing I wanted to show. So if I wasn't in a federation, so I'm going to leave this federation, and this is another good example of if we tried to make something very easy, and it almost might be too easy, similar to the federation thing, because you'd have to have a wall of text to really explain all the implications of it. But if I go and request some money from MutinyNet now, it says that my first receive needs to be 100,000 sats or greater. So let's assume the most patient and careful user. So they click the Y button, try to explain this. We must open a lightning channel. If you run out of liquidity in that lightning channel, there will be another lightning channel, but hey, try not to worry about that. Maybe just join a federation. So let's say I'll get this. It's like it's 20,000 sats on Signet, but I'll do 100,000 sats. So funding my wallet. So this is just as easy, and I could show the flow where you just actually have an invoice as well. So Mutiny just sent me that money. So I received this via Lightning. You can see there's a pretty big fee. That is the on-chain channel setup fee. It's a lot larger on mainnet, so it's going to hurt even more. And now I have a Lightning channel, and so there's Lightning channels have this concept of reserve, which is even worse if you swap in. So Mutiny also has on-chain funds, so you can receive to your on-chain wallet and then swap that into a Lightning channel. So instead of having the LSP open a channel to you, you open it to them. That ends up with an even bigger reserve, and also you see there's this automatic 100,000 sats inbound. Our LSP right now is Voltage, and so they open the channel of the 100,000 sats with the incoming sats, and then they also add an extra inbound margin. So you start with a relatively balanced channel out of the gate, which is nice, but this challenge is that something a lot just happened, and it was expensive. And you wouldn't want to just close this because, you know, there's fees incurred there. So the things that we've been thinking about is some almost like almost literally like a test or something, like some way of allowing somebody to get at this functionality after they've proven in some way that they know the implications, so that they don't basically hurt themselves. Is kind of the things, that's the thing we're like struggling with and thinking about, because this is really powerful. This is really cool. Like, this is a Lightning node running in my browser that has a channel open to the decentralized, free and open Lightning network. It's a really beautiful thing. But if I don't know all the implications and the responsibility that comes with that, that might not actually be what I want. So that's a big one. Yeah, so maybe I'll stop screen sharing. If we have any more questions or thoughts on that kind of stuff.
So many of them. But anyone else? Thanks for going over all that. Anyone have any thoughts or questions on it?
I think I have a whole Figma file to share with some notes, because I took screenshots, and I don't know, Christoph as well, but I don't know if we'll have enough time for that.
Okay.
Do you want to just pick some highlights or so, or some things that really stood out? And
maybe just the stuff that stood out.
Go for it.
All right. Let me share my screen quickly. So, to be full transparency, first time I ever downloaded Mutiny Wallet. You're taking someone in blind here. Like, I'm totally blind. I have no preconceptions about the wallet at all.
It's very helpful.
So here we go. So this was my sort of...
Real quick, before you get into the UI, how did you find it, and did you go through the website? Did you search the App Store, or what was your journey into it?
Good question. So I literally I have an Android phone, so I just typed in Mutiny Wallet, and then I just downloaded it straight from the App Store, and then I just got going from there.
Did you read the descriptions or look at the screenshots in the App Store?
No, I didn't. No, I just dove right into it. Just test. Yeah. And then, so this was just, walk through. I didn't manage, Christoph managed to get a fair amount of screenshots. It seems I missed some. But just some things, and I can share this Figma file with you afterwards. So the wording on the screen for me was just a little bit, it's like I get the gist of it, but it was just a little bit washy. And the bit for me that was a little bit washy was, and missed out on advanced features such as a Lightning address. Because I was actually allowed to create a Lightning address. So I was like, but what am I missing out on if I already created Lightning address? So this was like, for me, this was a little bit of a mismatch.
And to that point, we're removing that Lightning address field from the profile setup. I think partly for that reason. Like, if you're new to this, that's only useful if you are already experienced person, you have a Lightning address on some other wallet or something like that. So this setup flow, I really want to target at like someone who has really, it should be useful to someone who's never had a Bitcoin wallet before.
There we go. Yeah, that's a good target audience. Yeah.
And if somebody is a power user, wants to skip everything and configure it however they want, that's fine.
And then just a quick one over here was the icon. I know that it's for putting a profile image in, but if it was like the icon was like showing me like a blank face or like the face icon or something. I know that's like mine, so super small, but that was just that little bit of thing about the icon.
Cool.
Yeah, and then this NYM. Please forgive me. I had no idea what NYM was. I was like, what does this mean? For me, I'm going to call myself a newbie user. I was like, what does NYM mean? I don't know what that means.
That's good feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm being brutally honest. Like, I'm not.
This is great. Please do.
I'm not holding anything back. So that was the NYM thing for me. So that was good. And then I set myself some stats as well. I overall, the UI just feels very clean. Like, I feel like there's no like overload of like information on any of the screens. It just feels very clean, and I actually really like how big the font is as well. Even though like you don't see this big fonts traditionally on Bitcoin wallets, but I think that that does a good job for people like me, who I generally tend to increase the font size on apps that I use. So I like the big font, and the screens are very clean. In general, like it doesn't feel cluttered, most of the screens. So then I went ahead, I received Bitcoin. This nice icon, I love that sort of, how could you call, like almost, it's like a fun sort of throw in, like, nice, I've received a payment. But I would have almost expected to see like just like the done in the top, top right corner over here, and just be able to exit out of it. For me, it was like, nice, okay, so yeah, that was that little feedback there. I'm moving through it very quickly. The design,
By the way, it looks like you joined a federation.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did, yeah. And then I said that the design of the home screen was interesting. I've actually never come across a wallet with this sort of design. I almost like it that you guys, went off the traditional design approach. But sometimes what we have with users is, because they have this expectation of what a traditional wallet looks like, they're like, well, where's this? But at the same time, it's so uncluttered, this plus sign, that you click it on it, then it opens it up, which is also very sort of clean. And then the only comment I had here was that you can search here, and then you can also search when you what was it here? Yeah, the QR code was here, and then it's also within the menu options here. So it's like, it's a double option on the home screen. So yeah, that was just one.
While we're on this part, can I show you? There's a mock-up about for this home screen that somebody shared with Tony. I actually don't know who it is. I'm like, Tony, how are you getting these designs? And somebody's just DMing him.
Is Tony here? Oh, Tony's here as well. Nice.
I think Tony's just lurking.
Sorry, I'm on my phone. It's a little harder to like see him talk, but yeah, I'm here as well.
Nice to see you again, Tony.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for doing this. It's good to see you.
Okay, I'm gonna share real quick, and then we can go back to the Figma. Let's see. All right, you guys see this?
Yeah.
So this is an idea to make the, like, I don't know about this whole, oh wait, I think I got the wrong one. Oh yeah, so this one has send, receive, and scan at the bottom. And there's another version of this that would put like these buttons like up here. So like when you would launch the wallet, it would be in some sense like a little bit more traditional, like you're talking about. Like you'd have your send, receive, scan actions right here. And then as you scrolled, it would like kind of morph into what it looks like now with that balance up top and these kinds of things.
That's fun.
So that's just an idea that we're
way.
around. What's that?
I did these, by the way.
Oh, that's you. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're Tony's mysterious friend. Thank you, Chris.
The mystery has revealed itself.
Yeah.
It's so fun. This is so fun, this design, Chris. Nicely done.
Yeah, I thought of a mixture because we're working on the Bitcoin UI kit as well, right? And there you have always the big balance in the beginning of a wallet. And you have this here as well. But then if you're scrolling down, it's getting more into the stuff that you have right now, right? All the social aspects and so on. So it's a mix of it, I guess.
Yeah, one of the reasons that there've been a lot of opportunities through the history of this wallet to add a bottom nav, and one of the reasons I've stayed away from that is because it's on the browser. If someone's first experience, especially on iOS, you have like the the URL bar sometimes at the bottom, and I find when people try to make something that looks like an app on the web, it's like it's like immersion breaking somehow. It's like, I know this is an app. I know I'm in a web browser. So I've tried to find ways to not have this. the fat button was, to me, like, it's not my favorite thing to ever do, but I appreciate that it was at least easy for you to find those actions. But I think something like this, with having the balance and having the most important actions up here, could be a pretty cool way to kind of get best of both worlds.
Yeah, we've had some people reach out and say they don't like the new design because it doesn't feel like a wallet. So what you just said earlier, Mo, it's exactly some people really love it, and then some people are like, this doesn't feel like a wallet. I don't like it
I think
anymore.
I noticed a lot of that with testing applications. I think we underestimate how much familiarity people have with wallets. They're like, yeah, but it's supposed to look like this. Like, how come it doesn't look like that? But then you want to like stretch the regular like design patterns as well and have fun with it. So it's sort of a very delicate balance. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think one of the inspirations was Venmo, actually. Venmo, I think Cash App too, where they emphasize the balance less, and focus more on like the other features of their application. So I think we took a little bit of that from inspiration.
Yeah, for the traditional thing, and who else did I just? I just talked to Eric and Enuts about that. If this is meant for mobile payments, you're going to be at your Bitcoin conference in line at the food truck. You pull out your phone, you pull out your app. Everyone in line can see your balance. It's not good for privacy. So in the UI kit, we actually put the balance on the activity screen, and it's just one tap away. So the home screen focuses on initiating a payment rather than showing your balance. So it's just, you could do it with like default hidden tap to display or so, but there is a design rationale for not having it on the home screen.
Yeah. And then I'll finish off with one last point, because I really don't want to take up too much of time, because I know everyone else probably wants to share as well. There was just about the display of the balance here. So that was the 500 sats. And then I went over also to the settings menu. And then within my settings, I also have my balance as well, but then I have also my self-custody balance. So it's just, that was a little bit of, how could you say, sort of, there were two places within the application that I could see two different balances.
Mm-hmm.
It would almost make maybe sense if there was, I don't know, I just don't know if that would clutter the screen though, also showing your other balance here as well. So that was just another additional thought. But maybe there's some thought process that has gone into why it's been placed here. So yeah, that's it for myself.
Why do you think there are these different balances? How would you, if you see it, you had to try to find logic in it, or I don't know, what is
Yeah,
it?
well, one is for the federation that I joined, and the other one is the self-custody. So that's actually money or sats that I have outside of the federation. But I would almost feel like there would be a high-level overview here of everything that I would contain in my wallet, or maybe if I clicked into this, then it would open up where those different buckets are, or something like that. I don't know. That's just my thought process.
Would you expect options to swap balances around, or any?
Yeah, I think I would expect both balances to be on the same screen. That would have been my expectation. Like, I would have expected to see both balances on the home screen. So I would expected to see the Fedimint balance as well as my self-custody balance on the screen, on the main screen. That would have been, an expectation. So yeah.
I have a team for. I have a question for the team. What is your mental model? When should people use Fedimint? When should they use Lightning? When should they use on-chain? Or how? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that we're thinking a lot about. I'm glad. Yeah, I agree that multiple balances is confusing. And one of the things we started without federations, right? And so you would have Lightning and on-chain, and in fact, the wallet would always load up, and those two balances would be front and center. Since we added Fedimint, now we have so many balances. It felt like a lot to put all on the home screen. Our ideal is if you're using low amounts, you use federation. and you only switch to Lightning for very large amounts, or not very large, but like when you're in past, at least past 100,000, probably past 200,000 sats. So your journey with this wallet is you're going to just have sats in the Federation for a while. Especially if you're new to Bitcoin, and these are some of the first sats you're receiving. So along those lines, what we were thinking of is actually removing the on-chain Lightning, so that whole self-custodial section would not be there until you expressively opt into it. You decide that you want to open your own Lightning channel, like I showed in that flow. So have this kind of progressive disclosure of you started, it was just your Federation balance. You didn't have to worry about these other numbers because they're not actually relevant to you yet. And once you learn what they would actually mean, that's when they would start showing up.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll allow everyone else to share their sort of, and I can share the Figma file as well. And then you can.
Yeah, I heard Matt Corallo was saying something similar about how basically higher funds, more security, and then you move your way up from eCash to Lightning to on-chain.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like right now that's kind of the best model, the working model that we have with the technology today. But the trick, something I wanted to get back to, when people say this does not look like a wallet. It's also interesting that Mo said, I didn't read anything. I just got it, right? I just downloaded it. I didn't read anything. I did not care how the product presents itself. I did not care. It said unstoppable money or the social Bitcoin money wallet or whatever it is. Like, she just went straight in, and then she carries her own expectations of what a wallet should be.
Yeah.
So ideally, as a user, they come in, they hear from someone, they look at the website, they do read a little bit of the text or the headline, and you show them a picture and you can ingrain in their brains like this is a social thing first and money second, and not a money only thing without social, which is what most wallets basically are. It's just sending money around, but this is put something else first as your primary interaction model. It's social, right? So that's the trick, how to frame people things correctly, or things correctly for people, so they're open to that and they don't force their expectations on things. And then the triple layer, how to navigate that. And that's, I think we briefly talked about in a chat too. You have the toolbox approach, where you just give people tools and you expect them to know what a federation is, know when to use them, know what the security model is, know when not to use them, know how using one or the other affects your social interactions or not, or how it affects fees or all these things. Or you have a very guided experience that's the opposite spectrum. Like, you guide them you wait until their first transaction or deposit, and then you ask them, okay, it seems like you want to deposit this amount, maybe this is kind of a good thing. Maybe you should open a Lightning channel, or for this we recommend a Federation. Here's some really good ones that we trust or something, right? And there's a sweet spot somewhere in there.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting about what you're saying, and that I've been kind of learning, is that preconception is so much more powerful than any text I put anywhere in the wallet. If it's a pop-up modal, almost less informative to them. Like, it's almost like, oh, this is definitely reinforcing my preconceptions. I'm not going to read it, but there's something about these preconceptions are so powerful that people have an expectation of what they think Mutiny is. They start using it how they think it works. And there's not I'm getting some feedback. There's almost no convincing them otherwise. So like, it's a tough problem, but I think that's a really important thing for us to keep in mind.
It is, and you could almost assume that no one's going to. I mean, we are, UX. You're on a call with a whole bunch of UX designers. You can assume that a traditional user is not going to go do a bit of snooping, visit the website, really understand the product strategy and the direction that you're going in. So I totally played, the ignorance. I met the person at the conference and they said, hey, download Mutiny Wallet because it's cool. And then I'm just like, yeah, I come in with my preconceived expectations, and that's what all users have. But that's an interesting challenge to solve, and I wouldn't have any advice, to be honest.
But this is an industry-wide challenge we need to solve. It's not just Mutiny specific. We generally need people to understand what these different technologies are for and how to use them well.
Yeah, along those lines of what's that's an interesting thought of what are the preconceptions that a Bitcoiner has coming into this wallet versus what preconceptions someone who's only used like Venmo and Cash App before might have. That'd be a really interesting thing to learn, because I actually am more interested in optimizing the happy path for that person that's new to Bitcoin, and let the Bitcoiners who are used to taking, I don't want to make it painful for them, but if they're used to taking personal responsibility, and have a better mental model or better understanding, let them do the work if they want to, but have the happy path optimized so that the Venmo Cash App person ends up with all the right choices when they start the wallet.
And I mean, there are different levels of, even if you have Bitcoiners in there are different levels, right? So, for example, the Lightning stuff, I love to pay and receive Lightning, but as you just shown, the opening a channel and the balances here and the reserve and everything, I'm totally lost there. I always have the feeling I need to read some book. If you have recommendations, please tell me. But I'm always lost with this topic. And a while ago, I have a Bitcoin node, and I just put some sats into my own Lightning channel there. And now the node is gone, and I try to get the sats back. And I didn't know about the consequences when I opened the channel, right? And this is exactly what you said here. And then it's kind of lost, and it's really complicated to get it back. So I think you need to really explain this well. So in the end, you have frustrated users, and they blame you, right? And this shouldn't happen.
This is actually a kind of a jokey example, but like maybe it's something to think about. If anybody used Obsidian, it's kind of like Notion. It's like a way to keep track of a bunch of text documents. It has optional Vim key bindings, and if you go into settings to enable Vim key bindings, it pops up a test, and you have to prove that you know how to quit Vim to get these key bindings. So like it puts this challenge, like if you're a Vim user, you absolutely know how to do that. If you're not a Vim user, you literally have no idea how to do that. And it puts this barrier to getting Vim key bindings, but it's actually like a valid barrier because you don't want Vim key bindings if you don't know how to quit Vim.
We have about 9 minutes left. I had one question for you, and then for a wrap up, I guess so a lot of these introductory calls are great for people to get an idea of what the project is about and what's going on. And you said that you're working on various things. If you could just share how people could contribute, collaborate, what type of feedback you like. Chris and I have mocked up, done some random designs or so. Just what is the best way to contribute? Just to design stuff and send it to you, or what's a good way to help out? And my first question would be: what are some upcoming features? Are you planning to add a lot more stuff, or more kind of consolidate, improve what you have right now? It's like Bolt 12 on your horizon, or other things?
One of the biggest features we're working on is on-chain Fedimint support. So right now, if you wanted to do an on-chain send to receive, you need to use that on-chain balance. But you could actually use Fedimint eSats for that, which is another way of keeping people from moving to that self-custodial step. It's great for privacy. It's just it's potentially a really nice UX. Because you really literally have that one unified balance. Like before, on-chain versus Lightning, those are different balances, and it's kind of lying to unify them. With Fedimint, it's really one unified balance of eCash that could spin to Lightning or spin to on-chain, and could spin from. Tony, what other features do we want to tease?
Another one that we want to do at some point soon, swaps in a way. So like if you want to pay out to USDT on Tron, or you want to pay out Monero from your like Bitcoin wallet, having that support, which like opens up a whole new almost like design space for. I mean, you kind of notice it a little bit, like if you have a Fedimint balance but you don't have like a self custody balance or Lightning balance, you see this little like swap icon on your Fedimint balance, and like it doesn't. Most people like don't know what that means or what it could do, but the intention is that you eventually move your Fedimint sats into Lightning or I guess mostly move it into your Lightning balance. Some people want to go reverse. Some people want to move their Lightning balance into Fedimint, and then some people want to like go on chain with it. So there's all these like swap scenarios that exist, that could exist, and we only have like partial support for it. So we really need to come up with like a whole new like page or flow for like, okay, what are you trying to do here? Like, what balance do you have right now? What do you want, or where do you want to go with your balance? So yeah, that's probably going to be like a feature set wise that, and if you click on that, Paul, if you click on that little swap, like this is kind of just what we have right now, where it's just single purpose to just Lightning. But I would imagine it could be something like select your balance that you want to send from, and select like the account, or so to speak, that you want to move towards. But then, beyond that, even just like swapping out. Ideally, it's also UI that can consider like, okay, I might want to like send to a USDT on Tron account or a Monero account or something like that.
I did want to point out, if people want to support Mutiny, we have Mutiny Plus, which is how you can get your own Lightning address. So it's 16,000 sats a month. And we have this whole thing where you have like subscriptions in the wallet, so it, like, your wallet can auto pay it if you want, or you can cancel it anytime. And so if you join Mutiny Plus, you can create a let's see, Bitcoin design. Hello. I won't camp that valuable Bitcoin design name on Signet.Mutiny Plus. That line break's a little unfortunate. But yeah, so now you have it. So this isn't Bolt 12, but this is a QR code that anybody could pay at any time, and I don't even have to be online for it. That was one of the limitations. That's typically a limitation with some of these self-custodial Lightning wallets, including Mutiny for a while, is there's no really offline receive. They have to have the wallet open to receive. So having a Lightning address means people can zap me, or send me sats anytime, just straight to this Lightning address, which is pretty cool. So we have plans to eventually make that something that maybe you could get a random name. But for now, we're still pretty early. We do really want support. We want people to kind of vote with their sats that they want a wallet like this to exist. So it means a lot to us that people get Mutiny Plus to kind of prove that people are willing to pay for these tools, rather than just kind of wait for whatever free option they've been using to die or leave the US or whatever.
And as far as like contributing and stuff too, we used to have a design channel on our Matrix, but we moved off of Matrix and now on Discord. So I think Paul, I don't think we have a design channel yet on the new Discord. So I think we need to add that.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Could you share? Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the other, either Discord, I'll get a design channel going in there. The other thing is, if you find something confusing, like a GitHub issue is also helpful. I don't typically do super well with like, here's how I would design Mutiny Wallet. I love the mockups, but they often aren't super actionable for me. But I found this confusing. I didn't know what was going to happen when I clicked this button, or literal UI bugs, that kind of thing. Those are super helpful and really easy for me to act on.
And then we also have a feedback button at the bottom of the settings page, I believe. If you want to just like leave anonymous feedback, straight to our team.
Love that. Nice. Good job.
Yeah, awesome. So are you working on a larger onboarding redesign process or no? I guess.
Not specifically. I mean, those mock-ups you guys showed were definitely inspirational. I want to see if we could take some of that just to make it a little more exciting. That that first screen.
Yeah, it's there's a separation. I mean, that's kind of like a branding, tone of voice type of thing. It changes how people feel about stuff, but it's really just that visual expression. It paints a really strong image in their heads. It's a vibe thing. It's not a function thing. But then the functional onboarding stuff would be more about, for example, it says join a federation, but then the federation didn't work for me. Where do I find a new federation? I can't go to Bitcoin mints. Well, why is it called mints, right? There's all this terminology and clarifying framing and all this copy and terminology framing type of stuff. I think that's almost more the meat of the that's just a separate process almost to the visual stuff. That's more of what I was wondering about. If you're just doing small bits at a time, or if you're thinking of doing a larger.
Yeah, we don't have a larger redesign in mind right now. Like that, we just did a really big redesign, and those are really hard. Like when you change a bunch of the wallet at once, it takes like so much longer to actually land it. So definitely in the mode, just personally wanting to make iterative improvements. Hopefully, get some better like web of trust type stuff into that choose federation UI, for instance. I think that would be important. But yeah, just looking for lots of little small wins while we're kind of like making more bigger decisions. And if we like find a big decision that we're really excited about, we'll go in that direction. But for now, we're kind of in the iterate mode.
Yeah, no, that's great. So all the little things, and there's a ton of optimization usually that can be done around that without restructuring or rebuilding complete flows, and all of that makes perfect sense. Yeah, those are good expectations to set. I think a lot of times designers new to open source, they're like, I did this complete new thing, but the team's like, cool, looks awesome, but we have other things on the plate, or we just, like you said, we just redesign things. So for some small stuff is helpful for now.
Yeah, the thing I used those for, like Chris, I loved your mock-up, and then that I showed that Neil mock-up as well. Like if I'm working on a part of the wallet and I don't know exactly what to do, I'll like look at those mock-ups. It's like, well, this guy might have thought of that. Like sometimes when you're doing a mock-up, you didn't think of all the implications, but if they did think of that, it's like, oh, here's a choice that somebody made for this kind of thing. And so I like seeing other people's choices. I use the Bitcoin design guide, similarly. Like I'm not referencing it as an instruction manual, but if I'm stuck on something and I want some ideas of inspiration of how it could be done, I'll check out the Bitcoin design guide or just other popular wallets.
Yeah, that's how it's meant too. And you have a different product, right? You have Nostr in all of this thing, which totally changed. You need to adopt the patterns and figure out what works best for you. Awesome. Do you want to keep going, or do you want to wrap it up? Some people already hopped off. Pete's still
if anybody else has any other questions, I'd be happy to answer. But this has been really valuable.
Yeah, I just had a thought about. I mean, I had the same feeling that the hardest part is kind of the structure or the structural thing, because you have basically three different layers or kind of things that people have to understand at some point. And so I think quick wins or something that's maybe easy or easier to address these things is kind of, I don't know, like if you have these like modals that are full of text currently, these explainers, they could be illustrations or some kind of I don't know, a link to a 2-minute video or an embedded video even, or during onboarding have this maybe one or two these kind of slides that people can just swipe through, and you have basically one sentence in there where you have a graphic or something. So these are things that hopefully wouldn't break the structure of what you just redesigned and built, but kind of would kind of place the important concepts at least in the heads of people.
Yeah,
Just-
I would
just
love
came to
that.
mind.
Yeah, there's an example we did. I helped host the Austin Bitcoin Design Club. I didn't understand what they were doing. I was trying to read up on it, and it just wasn't getting into my head. I was, intentionally trying to learn this. I wasn't trying to breeze through an app. But then as soon as I saw the video, I was like, it just totally clicked. So yeah, I think that would be really good.
So I also wanted to say I'm so impressed with what you guys are doing. 3 people, Android, mobile, web, all of this stuff, groundbreaking things with Nostr and mashing it all together. And then I was looking at the infrastructure that you've built around this too with MutinyNet, and then you have all these services in the background that you're managing. This is basically from the settings page. You have the WebSockets proxy, replica things, the VSS. Like that's all really cutting edge stuff that you're mashing together there. And it's not like it's not just like one thing. There are all these services that tie in. You almost don't notice it, and you're trying to make that completely go away, right? Which is a really really tough challenge. So awesome work on all of this stuff.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. One of these cards is Lightning Service Provider. So that's one of those things where right now you don't make the choice. If you receive on Lightning, it just automatically uses voltage flow 2.0, unless you could actively remove the LSP from your wallet and just open channels yourself. I think very few users are actually doing that. But that's something that we're looking at, is having multiple LSPs. So there's another, it's more power, it's more potential for, user choice and agency. You can, find the LSP that you prefer, but that's another point where someone might, have to choose something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they also might compete on fees eventually. Right. And then I think, just from the legal perspective and all of this stuff, if a wallet can say, well, we're just giving you software, like you pick which services you use, we have nothing to do with that, then you're almost in like a clear zone there. But that seems like it's a whole separate discussion there, because you're just providing standalone software.
I have a feeling that like where we're headed in the long run is you rent a channel as kind of a luxury or a high-end financial good. You are somewhere up the scale of net worth individuals, definitely in the top half, probably in the top 25 or 10%, and you want more financial self-sovereignty, and you because there is a cost of the lockup of funds on the Lightning service provider's end, but you still want that high quality channel and that ease of use of them opening a channel to you. That's something that you probably pay for on an ongoing basis, some sort of lease. That's kind of my vibe where it's headed. Right now we can do things, little, we're still experimenting, but I that's my vibe.
Just like Satoshi dice back in the days, just throw out UTXOs left and right. And now we're doing that with Lightning. Yeah. And like, Pete was here on the call. I mean, that was his big thing early on with Fedimint, is that Lightning is just going to be the connective tissue between 10 million Fedi or eCash banks, right? And we're just going to use eCash for the most part.
What's important is that it still has that accessibility. If you have the funds and you have the intention, you can participate in that network as well. So like it will still be open to individuals. It's just not economical for the average individual, probably.
Yeah, especially not for sapping people on Nostr, right? It's a unilateral exit idea that also comes up with all the layer 2 conversations. But yeah, should we try to wrap it up? Any more conversations or chat questions? Anything about getting involved, helping the project? Anything else? Everyone's just blown away.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for everybody who joined.
Awesome. So Chris, are we going to continue with those design explorations?
Thinking about, someone wrote a comment that Mutiny could always fit to sci-fi stuff theming. Just thinking about the splash screen or the start screen. So yeah, I don't know. I'm open to support a little more, but don't want to overload you with stuff.
Yeah, on the topic of aesthetic, it has actually been kind of a bit of an open question for me this whole time. Like some of the original inspiration is like nice looking buttons from like Super NES. We as a team just really like cypherpunk things. There's the Mutiny TV show. There's Pirates. Then there's just like standard like wallets that you want it to look like normal software that people are used to. So so there there's sometimes that tension between like do we want the video game aesthetic? We have these like really funny images like if you've joined Mutiny Plus, there's like a party GIF. I just found this 3D image hilarious and just put it in the wallet. So I would love to either eventually find like an illustrator or some I don't know if an AI prompt would be in the long run what I'd want probably a little more control than that, but find like what is that aesthetic for pictorial like graphics that actually have like more, they're not just iconography, but they're actually like something like a splash screen, or when we celebrate something, or when we do informative illustrations. Finding that aesthetic is something that we're still kind of searching for.
Yeah, I think maybe it shouldn't be too crazy, right? Because you want to have trust from the users as well. And if it's like, I don't know, too crazy, then it doesn't look serious. But I think it could, a little bit more of this branding aspect could be in the app, I guess, to make it more unique, right?
Yeah, I don't know. See, I'm a little more on the side where open source and Bitcoin stuff. It should like be the opposite of boring finance, traditional bank stuff. Like it should look and feel different. If it ends up all looking the same, then I feel like we went down the wrong path. And so early on, when when it's just Bitcoiners, or it's a niche market or so, I think you can have fun. You can go a bit further out, and then it's always easy to scale back. But if you never really push it a little bit, then you don't really know how far you should go. So I'm more on the side of like let's go a little bit further.
This whatchamacallit, this pool suite thing you just dropped, that's beautiful. That really, I love that kind of stuff. I have to be careful like finding like things that like, oh, I love this aesthetic versus like this aesthetic works for Mutiny, because I love like retro computing and stuff, and I actually had some of that in early versions of Mutiny. I like stole some icons from old Next OS. Here, I could share this real quick. Sorry.
The good thing with design is that you can mock up 5 different versions, just let them float around for a little bit, and you don't have to implement them right away, right? You can test it a little bit, put it on Nostr, Twitter, wherever, and then just react to it and implement it once you're kind of sure that that's what people want and everyone will be happy with.
Yeah. Here's if you go to my screen, this is one of the very early mock-ups for Mutiny. We had these like icons. You had like channel management front and center. So some of the logo exploration.
It's also a fine line, right? If your, let's say, target audience or reference users are coming from Venmo or Cash App, or they probably don't know what these icons mean.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know there's like literally a fax machine.
But we should not underestimate users too. They can learn and they have a good time learning. I mean, there are 300 million kids that play Minecraft, and it's one of the most complex, intricate, pieces of software you can think of in a way. So
this is one of the primary inspirations for the first design we shipped with like the big candy buttons.
Nice.
See that?
You could also rebrand to and have everything very small, and you could just call it Mutiny. I'll stop.
I hadn't even thought of that pun, but I had that idea recently of a tiny wallet that like takes up like 1/4 of the mobile screen just to kind of prove a point that look how simple this is. We don't even need the whole screen.
Yeah, but you know, from this mood board, the mood boards are great because you can usually create 2, 3, 4, 5 different. You pull different styles out of it and mock them up, and then once you have those, it's much easier to compare and lay it out to. And you have a community, right? You have fans, you have people who use it, and you can just rely on them, just show them everything, and then just see where things should go.
That's a great point. Yeah, I have been not super social for basically since I started like building more. But I really want to get, yeah, I would like that if I got into that loop of like finding things I like, sharing them with people, and seeing like which ones like really resonate with.
That's a great thing in open source, right? We don't have to build in private. We have
Right.
open communities. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. You have an insane amount of stuff that you're doing and accomplishing there. You know, not surprised.
All right,
So thanks
well,
for taking the
appreciate
time
that.
and hopping on this call too. Really
Take your
appreciate it.
time.
Yeah.
This is great.
Awesome. So I'm going to stop the recording now. Thank you all for joining. Thanks to the team to join and reach out afterwards.